I want to invite Wayne Shirley, who's the editor of the Porgy and Bess edition. We'll sort of stick on the Porgy theme here for a bit, to come up and tell us a little bit about his work and what he's learned from really 3 or 4 decades at this point with this score. I mean, he was telling me this morning that the first thing he did when he got the job at the Library of Congress was to go into the archive and pull out the score to Porgy and Bess, because this work meant so much to him, and he's still working on it.
I've written my talk out because I ramble if I don't. I've decided to talk about things I've learned working with the lyrics of Ira Gershwin, since we're celebrating both George and Ira today. I'll tell 3 very brief stories. The third will be the longest. All 3 deal with Ira working with George. Ira did also work with other composers, producing with them some of his best-known songs. I Can't Get Started with Vernon Duke, Long Ago and Far Away with Jerome Kern, The Man That Got Away with Harold Arlen. I'd like to list more, but I think I should go to my 3 stories. First, an example of how Ira influenced George's melodies. One day, going through one of George's notebooks, I found a sketch of the following tune. Ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. A good idea for a rhythm song. But as most of you have spotted, what it turned into was the way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that. You can't take that away from me. Ira's sense that ba 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 ba, ba 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 could be transformed into ya da 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 da, ya da da dum da dee, gave us one of the greatest of the George and Ira ballads. Ira heard that. My second story will be about someone to watch over me, and I did it before I heard what Michael Owen's story was. So now you already know that it started out as a rhythm tune. My story shows how Ira's words are affected by George's music. Someone to watch over me has a repeated pattern. Ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. And this requires words or phrases in which a short accented syllable is followed by a longer unaccented syllable. English has plenty of these. Mother, southern, sitting. By the way, that's all from William Blake's The Little Black Boy. It's a wonderful example of those rhythms, so I picked it out. And more to our point, that pattern is the longing of there's a somebody I'm longing to see. For the lyrics of Someone to Watch Over Me, Ira had to come up with 9 sets of syllables which followed this pattern. Many of the words and phrases he found fit perfectly. Longing to see, I hope that he turns out to be, I know I could, and this one's great, always be good, and put on some speed, and here we go, follow my lead. The others are acceptable, Lost in the Woods and Oh How I Need. That last one really is the one that cheats a bit. So the texture of Ira's lyrics is dictated by the shape of George's melody. But in return, the fact that George could write that particular melody is predicated on the fact that words would be fitted to it, rather than having it written to fit a set of pre-existing words. I don't think a song lyricist could have come up with the pattern of Someone to Watch Over Me. It had to be Ira following George. And because Ira could follow George, we have that song, which 2 of us felt was a thing to talk about. I should note that Ira, though he preferred writing lyrics to music already at least partly shaped, was quite willing to write lyrics for music not yet written. He did this with Kurt Weill, who could never write music first. He had to have the text, and I think it's what he did with Aaron Copland. Third story, this one involving Porgy and Bess. When I was working on I Got Plenty of Nuttin', I discovered that the words of the bridge in the first verse, Porgy's reaction to the folks with plenty who have to have a lock on their door, had originally been somewhat different from the words we know today. As we know them, probably most of you know them, and I'll remind you, the words of the bridge are, I got no lock on the door, that's no way to be. They can steal the rug from the floor, that's okay for me, with me, sorry. Most of the words are the same in the earlier version, but instead of they can steal the rug from the floor, the earlier words are they can steal the walls and the floor. They can steal the walls and the floor. Stealing the walls and the floor is good, clever Ira Gershwin writing, but it is terrible for Porgy. The line is just not believable as coming from his mouth. That rug, on the contrary, they can steal the rug from the floor. Catfish Row had started out as a moderately upscale white neighborhood. The rug was probably left behind by earlier tenants. Since Porgy lives on the ground floor, he can't climb stairs. The rug has probably been through at least one flood. We suspect he would love to get rid of the ratty old thing. In the revision of this line, Ira sacrificed a chance to show off his wit in favor of a line which admittedly requires a bit of explaining. But the change maintains the integrity of the song, which brilliantly catches the outlook of one of the most important characters in 20th century opera. Thanks.